Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jannavalapa Girivardhari Gopi Jannavalapa Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Ashtotara Shatashi Shivadis Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Ashtotara Shatashi Shivadis Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sham Mukunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Yamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. So this morning we're reading from Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 22, Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the Kumaras. And we're on text 28. Four 22:28. So when everybody's ready, you can... All right. So just tell me when to start. Atmanam indriyartam cha param yad ubayorapi satyashaya upadavai puman pashyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyartam cha param yad ubayorapi satyashaya padavai puman pashyati nanyada. Atmanam indriyartam cha param yad ubayorapi satyashaya padavai puman pashyati nanyada. Okay, word by word. Atmanam, the soul. Indriya artam, for sense gratification. Cha, and. Param, transcendental. Yat, that. Ubayoho, both. Api, certainly. Sati, being situated. Ashaye, material desires. Upadao, designation. Vai, certainly. Puman, the person. Pashyati, sees. Na anyada, not otherwise. Translation. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires, and for that reason he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. Purport. Being covered by material desires, a spirit soul is also considered to be covered by designations belonging to a particular type of body. Thus he considers himself an animal, man, demigod, bird, beast, etc. In so many ways he is influenced by false identification caused by false egotism. In being covered by illusory material desires, he distinguishes between matter and spirit. When one is devoid of such distinctions, there is no longer a difference between matter and spirit. At that time, the spirit is the only predominating factor. As long as one is covered by material desires, he thinks himself the master or the enjoyer. Thus he acts for sense gratification, becomes subjected to material pangs, happiness, and distress. But when one is freed from such a concept of life, he is no longer subjected to designations, and he envisions everything as spiritual in connection with the Supreme Lord. This is explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 1-255. Anasaktasya vishayan yataham abhayunjitaha nirbandha krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyamuchyate. The liberated person has no attachment for anything material or for sense gratification. He understands that everything is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not give up anything. There is no question of renouncing anything because the Paramahamsa knows how to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Originally, everything is spiritual, nothing is material. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 274, also is explained that in Mahabhagavat, a highly advanced devotee has no material vision. Stavara Jangama Deke Na Deke Tara Murti Savatraho Nijat Ishtadeva Sporti. Although he sees trees, mountains, and other living entities moving here and there, he sees all as the creation of the Supreme Lord, and with reference to the context, sees only the creator and not the created. In other words, he no longer distinguishes between the created and the creator. He sees only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything. He sees Krishna in everything and everything in Krishna. This is oneness. Om Jnanitimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karidavachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitaranam Vancha Kapadribhishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'll read the translation again. When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires, and for that reason he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada said that we have to base our society, means the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, on love and trust, which means in cooperation. So love, which doesn't mean just some type of sentimental feelings or something like that. It's referring to service, serving each other, serving Krishna, and not serving each other and Krishna for the wrong reasons, but for the right reasons, which means just selfless service out of affection, not for any other reason. And also to cooperate, because everybody's so opinionated in Kali Yuga. Practically in every age, I would suspect, everybody's quite opinionated, but in Kali Yuga especially, whether the opinions make sense or not, and then of course they'll argue about that too, my opinion's better than your opinion, and on and on and on. But whatever the case is, if we let all these opinions destroy our service attitude and destroy our affection for each other and destroy just everything, then what's the point of all that anyways? It was all just a waste of time, because we missed the point, which is service to Krishna and the devotees, and just being Krishna conscious, not too overly attached to our conceptions. But also this idea of you could say love and trust. So trust means that you have faith in somebody, that they won't cheat you, that they won't hurt you, that they won't abuse you, right? That by associating with them, it's actually beneficial. There's nothing to worry about. But the problem comes in material existence that we've been burned billions of times. To be in the material world means to be burned. Samsara dava nalalita loka tranaya karunya gana ganatam praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande goroshi charanadavindam. So it says that all the living entities in this world, they're in the fire of material existence. It means they're burning. Burning it with anxiety, with so many different sufferings. And a lot of this suffering comes by being burned by other living entities. Means we put our trust in somebody and they cheated us. They hurt us. And people go through material existence, life after life, just being burned like this, over and over and over and over again. In this life, we've been burned so many times, what to speak of all the other lives. So that creates a problem, because when one is burned repeatedly, when one becomes scarred, and they like close their heart off to other people. But aside from closing their heart off to other people, people actually bring this to Krishna consciousness, that, I won't let Krishna get too close, or I won't get too close to Krishna because I don't know if I really trust him. Is he going to cheat me? Is he going to burn me? Is he going to disappoint me like I've been disappointed billions of times? So this, people could be a little suspicious of Krishna, right? Is he gonna, right? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna take everything away? Am I gonna be miserable? And on and on and on like that. But to surrender to Krishna means we have to trust Krishna. That's what it means. We have to trust Krishna, or else how will we surrender? We won't be able to surrender. So if we hear more and more from the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and so on, we'll actually develop more and more trust in Krishna, to the degree we won't be suspicious of Krishna anymore, and we'll be able to surrender. But yeah, this being burned in material existence, it does create a huge problem, actually. People, like for example, there was a devotee, and she was married to a man, and she had a few children. Actually, she had they had one child. So this woman, devotee woman, she went on a vacation with her son. So they went wherever they went, and then when she got back, she realized that her husband was cheating on her with her sister. So that's very painful. So that scarred her heart. And specifically what happened is she said, okay, I'm done with men. I'm done with men. And there's people like that nowadays, women like that. Men also, right? I'm done with women. And then they turn, homosexual, lesbian. So she said, I'm done with men. That's it, finished. And then she became a, lesbian. And then she's devotee, but she was scarred. The point is she was scarred. And from that, she closed herself off to all men. Get out of here. We don't want to, I've been burned. I don't want to get burned again. Now, of course, the woman could also burn her, cheat on her too, but whatever. It's a sad world, right? Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's you could laugh or you could cry, right? So, so people get burned. That's the way you get burned. A person just closes themselves off. So, or like in so many ways, people get cheated, and they just, okay, that's it. I'm not putting myself out on the line anymore. By doing this, it actually blocks somebody from, again, they're bringing this into Krishna consciousness, they're bringing this into relationships with devotees, and it actually blocks them from having any substantial real relationships with Krishna or the devotees. And that's a problem, because that's the whole point. The whole point is having relationships, right? Dadati pritagrinati guya maikati prichati. You have that with Krishna, have that with devotees. And what to speak of here, it's mentioning all the sense gratification. Sense gratification is, there's Vishaya, and then there's, what is it? There's Vishaya, and there's poison, what is it? Yeah, Visha is poison, Vishaya is sense gratification. So, of course, living in this world, everybody, you could say on some level, requires a little sense gratification, or else their body will expire. But when we say sense gratification, it just means like too much sense gratification. Just okay, object of the senses, yes. Vishaya, objects of the senses, which means, the senses want to contact the objects, right? But too much sense gratification, that's what we're talking about, where it's just uncontrolled. In uncontrolled sense gratification, it also burns us in so many ways by material misery, right? Means that psychologically people become disturbed from too much sense gratification. And there's so many examples that nowadays, I don't know if we want to get into all the examples, but there's so many examples of it just going completely, like nightmarish. Like, for example, because we're, you got to give examples, right? Like this idea, people nowadays, they're engaging in, you could say, illicit relationships between men and women and so on, quite early on in their youth, 14, 16. And it actually becomes quite normal, like all over the world. For anybody who becomes a little older, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you look at a 14-year-old kid, they're a kid. And they're completely immature, they don't know anything about anything. Of course, maybe if they're raised as devotees, but what to speak of just karmi children. They're children, But they themselves engage in those activities as children. It's wrong, and it's weird, and it's bizarre. It's strange. Very destructive. And one devotee, Devamrita Swami, he was asking, because he was there and wherever he was around the world, and he asked some girls who joined the movement. They were 16 years old, and he asked them, how many boyfriends have you had between the age of 14 and 16? And then they said, oh, this many boyfriends, this many. And then one girl said, oh, I wasn't so bad. I only had 8 partners, which means, illicit, full-on illicit, connect. And it was from like 8 to 18. Yeah, like some girl, who wasn't so bad, 8, and the other girl, 18, within 2 years, 14 to 16. So they're like kids, first of all, they're young kids. But aside from that, it's just completely disturbing to the consciousness. And you can imagine what that does to somebody's consciousness. Just messes them up. And he was saying that, or like video games, he said he had one disciple there in New Zealand, which from the age 8 to 16, he played video games 8 hours a day. And specifically, he had a very famous, or he had a very special, or not special, but he had a favorite game he used to play, which is like some auto theft game, And, yeah, Grand Theft Auto. And what happened is that in the game, you would steal a car, right? And then you could run over people. But specifically, this boy, he was running over Hare Krishnas. And each time each time you run over a Hare Krishna in the game, it would say, Gauranga! Gauranga, yeah. On the video game, it would say that, And then the boy, that was like, and it would all light up the game or whatever. So that was what he was trying to do. He was trying to go and, run all over the devotees. Gauranga, Gauranga. Yeah. So then he went to the temple, and he was there at the center. And he said that, the devotees were leading kirtan. And then all of a sudden, somebody started chanting, Nittai Gauranga, Nittai Gauranga. And he said, oh, Gauranga. And he was like, he was excited. He knew from the game, and he was wondering that why he would always get so excited in the game when he would chant Gauranga, because he himself started chanting Gauranga in the game, So, anyways, but 8 years, 8 hours a day, that's a lot, You can imagine, it really messes with the mind, psychologically. So, and yeah, this is widespread. This is what, when people come to the temple, you youth or, people, they come to the temple, this is what we're dealing with. So it could be a little challenging, for people. And it makes it, you could say, even more difficult for them to become devotees or to preach to them and help them. It's too much sense gratification. Unnatural. So, so the idea is that we want to, we have to operate in this world, we have to live in this world, and we want to try to somehow or other find out how we could live in this world without getting entangled in it. That's the whole key. If somebody could do that, then they've reached practically the perfection of life, which means they're in this world, they don't become entangled in it, and they're able to transcend it, and which means they're able to see Krishna everywhere, love Krishna. And that's you could say the goal. That's the goal, to live in this world, not become entangled in this world, and to develop our love for Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, or Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives us some hint, anasaktasya vishayan, right? So a soul, a liberated person has no attachment for anything material, but they understand how everything's connected with Krishna, and they use it in that way. So, of course, it's a fine line how to use things in Krishna service, but that's a secret. That's the you could say one of the main things we have to learn in this world: how to use things, how to see things in relation to Krishna, and how to use things for Krishna service, because that brings liberation. And somebody on the highest level, they see Krishna everywhere. Stavara jangama deke na deke taramurti sarvatra hoy nija ija deva sporti. So they see trees, mountains, this, that, so many things, but they see Krishna. It says, like, sporty means like Krishna's like jumping out. He's jumping out of all these things. So you can imagine the level of Krishna consciousness that somebody has to have to be on that level. It's quite high. But at least we could try in our own way. See things, right? We see the sun, okay, that's Krishna. We see these light, okay, energy of Krishna, 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 Krishna. It's all coming from Krishna. That's the first step, to just realize that. Like last night when we were out in Harinam, it was interesting Harinam. There's 3 of us, Vaishnava, Ramapati, and myself. It was more than Bhakti Avatar's Harinam. He does a one-man Harinam, but we had two other men, so 3-man Harinam. So yeah, it was good, and yeah, people were receptive to some degree, and people were hearing the whole names. Got a few people dancing, this and that. When we were leaving, there was a car, and there was on the rear view mirror. That's the rear view mirror, right? The one in the middle, between the 2 seats. Yeah, rear view mirror. So there was a little pair of shoes hanging there, like very tiny baby shoes. So Prabhupada would give that example that, and it was probably, who knows, I suspect those baby shoes belong to the mother of the driver who's driving the car. So those baby shoes, Prabhupada would give the example that when a mother sees her baby's shoes or whatever it is, then she remembers it's not just a pair of shoes. Like for us, okay, big deal, it's just a pair of shoes. Or throw them away or get rid of them, or right, moochie or something, shoes. But for the mother, it's a big deal. Oh, these shoes, you know, these are my baby's shoes, and she thinks about the baby, right? And similarly, like somebody sent me a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's shoes. And from a material perspective, they're old, they're dusty, you know, they're just shoes, right? But for somebody who has some attachment, some affection, some devotion for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, these are worshipable. These were Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's shoes, you know, great acharya coming from the spiritual world. So that's how we have to become with everything, that we see everything, everybody. Oh, it's not just a person. It's not just, you know, it's not just a tree. It's not just this, that, something. Not just that. This is all coming from Krishna. And in order to do that, we need to develop our love for Krishna, which means, as this purport's bringing up, that not get overly absorbed in too much sense gratification, and learn how to, as I was bringing up, learn how to trust, learn how to, develop our trust and, faith in the devotees and Krishna as persons who aren't going to cheat us and, burn us as we've been burned so many times. And learn how to, what are the desires of the Lord? Because right here it says that he has no other desire than the desire to fulfill the desires of the Lord. So what are the desires of the Lord? That's very clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita, he makes it very clear what his desires are, right? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha makes it very clear what is his desires. In the Bhagavatam, what is his desires? So Krishna is a person, and he speaks, and he thinks, and he walks and talks, and he has desires, and he makes this very, very clear. So we just have to find out what are those desires, and then try to kick out our material desires, if we have any left, and accept Krishna's desires, and just, okay, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Krishna's desires. And that's what Krishna is promising, that we go with Krishna's desires and we'll be successful and happy and bliss. That's what Krishna is promising. So that's, you could say, a promise, a challenge, a request that Krishna is letting us know through Bhagavatam, through Bhagavad Gita. All right, so does anyone have any questions or comments? Oh, who, Ivania? Oh. Oh, okay. Heather. She's a notorious commenter. Oh, really?
Prabhupada talks about, in this verse, actually, there's this word, upadau.
Yeah.
Which is upadi, it's the designation. Mm-hmm. And in the Bhakti Samhita Sindhu, we have that key verse.
Yeah.
Sarvapadi.
What is it? Muktam.
No. what's the one about ashaya, no other hopes?
Oh, Anyabilashita.
Anyabilashita shunyam, jnana karma jnanavatam, which is commonly understood as kind of a foundational verse.
Yeah.
But this other one, which is right near it, sarvapadi vinumuktam, which is actually referred to here about designations, Prabhupada gets into it. Sarvapadi vinumuktam natparena nima vishikena vishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchate is explained in the same way as kind of an equivalent verse.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of this theme of the upadis, of seeing designations, as how that is a result of establishing desires for sense gratification, and for this reason it becomes subject to designations. Because what are you going to you're going to engage in the sense gratification with your senses, and the senses belong to a body, have a certain identity, and then you see others separate from you as impediments to your sense gratification. And so there's all of this division develops, and all the root of the whole thing is this karma. But it's interesting how that is the root of the designation fallacy. So if you can transcend the designations and see the oneness of all and the all spirit, then that will help to give up the sense gratification.
Yeah. Yeah, there's false designations. False designations. Well, I am whatever, man or woman or African or American or African American or whatever, this, that, so many things, all these false designations, and then people identify with it, and then, all right, well,
yeah,
this is what it's about.
I'm black, I'm white, you're black, you're impeding my sense gratification.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of, and there's so many designations, and people, they become like addicted and attached and just really absorbed in those designations. That's like their life, actually. If you just take away those designations, they don't know, they don't have anything.
Yeah.
Like some people, I don't know why, but it's, anyways, some people bring this up that, which whatever, I mean, people could argue so many things, but sometimes with those who become, like one devotee in LA, he was bringing this up to me. It's like one devotee, he's a young man, and he came out and said, okay, hey, I'm actually homosexual, and okay, fine. But this devotee in LA was bringing up this point. But that's all he kind of talks about, That's all he talks about. That's all he thinks about, and he's not in the ashram. Somebody outside the ashram, but gay rights and so many different things like that. It's like, okay, people want to fight for that. It's a free world. But he did bring a good point up that it's like if he just like meditates about that all the time, it's okay. Like you're absorbed in the false designation. Okay, fine. If that's your conditioning and if that's the way you want to go, then whatever. But just get absorbed in God still. Get absorbed in Krishna. You're still missing the point. So, and yeah, people do that with so many things, right? So even, like everything, people do that. People dedicate their life to whatever like the amazing thing that happened. It was amazing, actually. Like the Chargers were here in SanDiego, the football team. They were here for years, decades, and all the SanDiego locals, yeah, Chargers, right? And then they, practically speaking, they got some offered probably more money or whatever. Yeah, they wanted to get a new stadium, and the taxpayers didn't want to do it. So then they said, all right, we're going to L.A. And they went to L.A. And so many people were fried. They were all out there, burning their jerseys and, drinking it up, trying to drink away their pain. And, they left us for L.A. and they're not a SanDiego team anymore. So they got burned. It's an example, right? Their trust was. So, but yeah, my point being is that so many, they're all attached to that, those designations. Yeah, I'm a Charger, and then it's just stripped away. So that's the idea that the Bhagavatam's saying, is that, okay, you're in this situation, that situation, so many situations, but ultimately you're a servant of Krishna, right? Jiva Supoi Krishna Nityadas, you're eternal servant of Krishna. And that's the real designation. Give up all these false designations, accept the real designation. Like, what is it? What's that? Yeah, Muktir Hidvitan Rupam, that Swarupena Vivastita, that give up all these false designations and accept the real designation of Krishna's servant. And that's that verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita, Sarvo Padi Vanir Muktam Tat Padat Vena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh, I thought it was Anya Vilashita Shunyam. Oh, Sarvo Padi. Okay, I see. For some reason I thought you were talking about Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha, but Sarvo Padi Vanir Muktam. So it says that by serving Rishikesh, the master of the senses, one's, what is it, Sarvapati? Then one, how does it go? One is...
I mean, the way the verse goes is that, being free of...
Yeah.
This is the definition of what bhakti is.
I want to use the mic. Yeah, being purified of false designations.
And dedicated to the Pada, to the Supreme.
Dedicated to Krishna. So a purified state, purified of all the false designations, okay, what's the business then? And then you serve Krishna. And to be purified from those designations is, first and foremost, okay, learn, I'm the soul, this, that, so many things, but then act on it, serving Krishna and engaging in bhakti yoga. And then, they're all removed, and we realize, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it happens a lot, So, okay, you see the absolute, then you can get free of all the rock,
Yeah.
But to get to that point, you have to use those very attached senses in the service of the Lord to purify that. So to get free of really all the designation, you have to act on the basis that as if you were free of the designation. And use these very senses in the service of which you get free of them.
Yeah.
And when you're actually free in serving, that's purification.
Yeah. So to get free of the designations, you have to serve and get purified of the designations. And then once you're purified of the false designations, then in your service is pure. So, all right, Jai. All right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.